Alright guys, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from Cyborg19.99, who asked me to do another non-comic lineup, and this one is going to focus on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They did ask me to do a one on the hand, but I was like, I just did League of Assassins, and I feel like it would be just kind of the same answer over again. So I decided to go with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For this one. But as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon. You guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this, and let's get started with this video. So, non-comic lineup is something I do. For those who don't know, non-comic lineup is it is exclusive on my Patreon. But for those who don't know the rules of it, non-comic lineup is basically where I take a superhero team, or in this case an organization, and I put in and basically make up a team consisting of characters from outside of comic books. And yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here, is that it's outside of the comic book genre, and essentially so we're not going to use characters from Marvel, DC, Image, none of that. So, yeah. So that's kind of the rules. Sorry, it's late. I'm tired. I've done a lot of videos today. I have done a lot of videos today. So let's get started with the video. So, for this one. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think there's some characters I think you guys are going to probably be like, yeah, that one's makes sense, and other ones are like, oh, okay. So first and foremost, I think she's been on, like, whenever you think, like, characters that could be in comics, and I mean characters that are outside of comics and be an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., we always think of this one, and that's Kim Possible. Kim just makes so much sense to be an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not even funny. It's actually like, yeah, it makes way too much sense to have her as an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is skilled. She's a skilled, confident hand-to-hand. She's also great at hand-to-hand combat. She's fast on her feet. I'm pretty sure Fury would look at her and go, yeah, give Kim a invitation to join S.H.I.E.L.D. I think, yeah, Nick Fury would totally give her an invitation to join the organization, not even give it a second thought. Would Ron be able to join? I don't know, but I guess Kim would be like, yeah, if I go, Ron comes with me. And Nick would be like, oh, alright, I guess that tracks, but if he fucks up, he's out. Or he dies, whatever comes first. So yeah, but Kim, more importantly than anyone else, she would be the one to be like, yeah, that's whenever you think like characters outside of comics that can work in S.H.I.E.L.D., it'd be her. Next up, we have Cammy from Street Fighter. Another character that I think a lot of us do expect to be part that could work in S.H.I.E.L.D. Cammy has proven herself time and again as both an excellent hand-to-hand fighter as well as an excellent agent. She's a fantastic spy. She's actually a great leader and is capable of holding her own multiple times over. There is no way in hell that you can pull a fast one on Cammy. Although, to be fair, Bison did pull a fast one on Cammy and mind control her for a hot minute, so... You know, there is that. You know, I can't look away from that. But yeah. So, there is that. As for other characters, here's another one: Raven from Tekken. Raven would be a lot of fun, because I feel like Raven, even though he is kind of morally gray, S.H.I.E.L.D. does depend on morally gray characters to get the job done half the time. Like, they do depend on having several characters who are kind of in that do not have that kind of level of morality or have that kind of sense of justice. They do depend on having they do depend on having characters who can be brutal, who can be, who can make these kind of tough gray area calls whenever it's needed. That's what you need in these situations, is someone who is willing to just be downright brutal, and Raven can be that. We've seen that before multiple times over. So Raven, like I said, from Tekken, would be I think he'd be a great addition to Shield. I think he'd be handling more of the he'd also be really cool with Fury, giving him the more like, hey, we're gonna send you into this area and you're gonna kill a lot of people. Is that cool? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down with murdering. If it's collateral damage, then yeah, I'm totally okay with that. As for others, moving right along, we have Chris Redfield. Chris, especially after Resident Evil 8, is another character that would totally be fine with morally gray decisions. Chris would probably be less on the spy side and more on the tactical units. Like if SHIELD needed to get into an area or a base or location that was under heavy guard and espionage wasn't going to cut it and brute force was needed, they would definitely have Redfield on the front lines, just punching rocks or punching things left and right and firing just copious amount of rounds into people. There's no doubt in my mind that would happen. So Chris Redfield is another person for SHIELD. Next up is going to be an interesting one, because this is one I don't think people would think of, and that's Danny Phantom. Why Danny? Danny isn't a spy. No, but he can be trained to be a spy. That's the big thing, is that he's more than capable of being trained in espionage. And it's not like SHIELD doesn't utilize metahumans. We've seen it that they've had Cap, they've had Wolverine, they've had the Secret Warriors. Nick had the Secret Warriors, obviously. So yeah, and Quake's another one. So they would probably want to have, seeing what Danny can do, seeing that he could be trained as an agent, would be kind of useful. I think they would get to him at a young age and just kind of hone his abilities. And it's not like they haven't delved with there aren't branches that do deal with the supernatural. So I do think that Danny would be used for espionage and probably sabotage as well. Just someone who can walk through walls, disappear, fly at superhuman speeds, energy blasts. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fury would salivate at the idea of having someone like that in his ranks. There's no doubt in my mind that he would try to get Danny on his side. I have no discernible thought that Danny, I have no doubt in my mind that he would try to get Danny in his team. Anyway, as for one more, before we bounce out of here, I'm gonna pick Etta from Black Lagoon. Etta is a CIA agent who is really brutal and is someone they would send in to as more of a negotiator and more of someone who is more of an infiltrator. She works as a nun, but is really she works for CIA specifically, and is also a moral grayness that I could see playing into Fury's favor. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much a few non-comic characters I could see being agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what non-comic characters would you have joining S.H.I.E.L.D.? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, I'd like to thank Cyborg19.99 for this Patreon request, as well as their continued patronage. And like I said before, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon. You guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.